Today on What Went Wrong? Well, it came out. So, what's been the fallout? Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and if you're familiar with our show, you know recently we had a Project Veritas release, some footage that I had given them in an interview as well. And earlier this week it came out, so we thought today we'd talk a little bit about our reaction to it and what some of the fallout's been, whatnot. Mm-hmm. And just before it had come out, I had shown you a little bit of a little bit of the segment,
right?
And we got your react.
And that little what a he is! What a pathetic little that little brain is. You work with nothing but mousy. You're the most racist I've ever met in my life. How the do these people exist? How are they in the news? Well, that's because they can do nothing else. It's like 1950s Mississippi as to how they want to divide the races. To want to divide us now by race.
Well, not just race.
Oh, I'm getting there. Jeff's out of control.
And afterwards we decided maybe we'll have you come back and we'll sit down again and have a little bit more. After we've had a little bit more time to cool off and think about it, then we'd sit down again.
I had mentioned to you that I have friends with whom I was in the military, and some of them have had some trouble with the debacle in Afghanistan and the Vietnam moment we said we were never going to have, with the helicopter flying over the embassy, but there it was. And so a lot of the guys with whom I've served who were there, and I was never in Afghanistan in the military, I was there other times doing other stuff. But so I get, because you make friends and you learn people's names, and I've got pictures of guys Afghans that I worked with there, and who the hell knows, And so a lot of these guys have been having issues, and I had just not too long before had been talking to one of those guys, and one of the things he said was, "What the is it for?" And one of the problems that he's been having, well, a lot of our veterans are having. Me too, but not as bad as some of these guys. I'm not nearly as damaged as some of these guys are just seriously just barely hanging on. And one of the things they keep bringing up whenever we talk is, what did we do it for if everyone hates each other? We come up there, we wore the flag, we were Americans, but then we come back here and we're misogynists and we're toxic males and we're not wanted by our own country, by our own president, who doesn't trust us, who doesn't like us, And hearing him say that really kind of riled me up for how angry I was about how the press and what they do is hurting my fellow veterans, and the way they like to divide us, and the way they like to they're trying to return us to 1940s Mississippi. When no one cares about the content of your character, it's all about the color of your skin. And it's when you come from that world where no one cared what color we were, and we worked together, and we fought together, and we played together, and we didn't even like each other, but we knew damn well that if something happened to us, these guys were going to come get us. And then we come back here to the States, we come back here into the real world, and people hate us because I'm a cisgender white male, and that makes me evil. It's like, mother, I served the greater part of my adult life at that point. I've been serving, and that's how you treat me. And I think the news is completely complicit in that, and part of that separation. I think it's the left leaning, it's the progressivism, it's all these talking heads on these different stations who are pushing this agenda toward crazy. And it's hurting people. It's hurting guys. It's hurting them. And it infuriates me. And watching a news station participate wholeheartedly in that infuriates me. So that's why I got very, very, very angry about that. And so, now that we're calmed down a little bit, we can talk more objectively.
So with that said, let's move into the Project Veritas story and our reaction from it. We're going to delve into a little bit about your thoughts, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about the blowback and some of the things that have been said about myself and the story. We originally, in our Project Veritas story, before it ever came out, predicted, hey, they're going to come after me. They're going to say this. They're going to say that. They attack the person.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether I'm right-wing, whether I'm a deaf, dumb, mute paraplegic, or if I myself am a Marxist who wants to spread this. Right. But it does not change the evidence. It does not change what was said. It does not change what is being taught.
It does not change the truth.
Look, and true to their form, they did. So I would like to begin with giving the response of my former employer.
Right.
These assertions by a former employee. Already, I think there's a problem there with the word assertion.
You mean the videos we recorded to showing that you said these things? Those assertions?
These assertions by a former employee are a severe misunderstanding of what valuing inclusivity, diversity, and equity in the newsroom means. This lack of understanding is exactly why we're doing this training. A non-news employee secretly taped inclusivity training where our journalists were given tools and information and shared perspectives on how we can better serve all our audience. A journalist's job is to present the truth and report the facts, not cater to opinions. Well, that's supposed to be.
Oh, it's supposed to be, but unfortunately...
Our inclusivity program makes our journalism stronger, particularly for communities that have not been well served by our industry. We will continue this important work. I'm going to take this step by step. Anyone who knows me knows that I am not very good at letting things go.
No. No.
And anyone that used to know me on Facebook knew that when I present something and they present something back, that I'm going to take it step by step and I'm going to show you the inaccuracies of your statement. First, one of the things that have come out in of course, their statement, and as well as some YouTubers and commentators and some other people, bloggers and whatnot, have said, well, I'm not a journalist. I didn't work in the news. I didn't actually work in the news. Well, first of all, let me express that those people have not done their research, have not watched our shows or really delved into my history, because I was a multimedia journalist in 2000 in Waco. I was a photojournalist in 2010, 2011 at KIII in Corpus Christi. Mm-hmm. And then I was in the promotions department at KENS 5, which is where this came into play. Now, I would like to address the not being in the news part. I worked with the news every day.
Yeah.
Some people have said, well, it's, his department is, might as well say there's just as much in the news as the sales department or the production team. Well, first of all, the sales team and the production team, the commercial production team, it was not mandated that they go to this journalism training, because it was for the journalists and the news staff. Right. If that is the case, why did Tegna require my position and those in my department to be in those meetings?
Oh, probably because you're news personnel.
My words appeared, what I wrote appeared in news scripts. I wrote the teases, which means I had to talk to reporters and producers on a daily basis. I was in the 2 p.m. meeting to listen to the pitches of the stories and all of that, and the debate and the argument about what story was going to be told and which one wasn't. I would write the teases and the topicals, the promotions for the stories both outside of the newscast and inside the newscast. Yeah. So I would open up the news script and type into the news script. I would also have to review the show, at least one show a day, talking about any kind of technical issues, inaccuracies, or anything. And then we've talked about that before, where I've sent feedback about the bias.
But how you this shit up constantly.
Yeah, exactly. So that may not be the case at this gentleman, at another gentleman's station, where the promotions department is completely removed from the news department. But in Tegna's own requirement, for me, it was mandatory for me to attend these.
I bet they're regretting that now.
And then that was my question: do I have to go to these meetings? Yes, you have to go to these meetings.
Because I guess
Because I'm in the news.
It's like, you're in the news. You're part of the news personnel. Oh, but now Tegna says I'm not part of the news personnel. So do I get that time back? Sorry, Tegna. You're the one that caused that to happen. Suck it up, princess.
I would also like to address this secretly taped as if I was doing something, really shameful or underhanded or dirty. I'm just sitting there and I recorded the conversation, which they did as well.
I can record the conversation as well. So it's not really a secret. That's just another way. That's that secret, that dirty, underhanded word. The same thing with, alleged and, it's like that. That's a little game, little word games they play to try to taint the pool.
I sincerely want to know if these people who wrote this release, who are in charge of the company, ever stopped for just a moment to ask themselves, does he have a point? Are we going the wrong way? Is this Marxism? First of all, I want that question answered.
Yeah.
Do they agree that this is Marxism? Would they take that step and say, yes, this is based on the philosophy of that. This is critical race theory. This is Marxism. This comes from that. I want to know that.
Right.
Because again, I'll bring plenty of evidence to show that that's exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm. Apparently we know history better than the dregs of society with whom you used to work.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and defend whether or not I'm a racist. I think you can look at my films. I think you can look at who I am, look at our shows.
Look at the people you know, the people you've dated, the people you've done stuff with. We can pretty much figure you're not a racist.
Yeah.
But once again, racist is their favorite word because when they have nothing else, they'll throw the race word at you, which is part of the reason that race means nothing anymore. To call someone a racist, it used to mean something. Like 30, 40 years ago, it meant something. Now, it's a useless word because the left, the progressives, like to use it all the time. Mm-hmm. They like to say racist, racist, racist. In the elections in Virginia, there's a black woman who is now the lieutenant governor, but it's racist because if you vote for the other side, you're racist even if you're voting for a black woman. It's like they've gone crazy. Their words mean nothing. Everything they do, everything they say is a caricature of what it used to be. When it looks like that the left, the Democrats, the progressives are trying to roll back Dr. King's legacy. When, like I said, it's not about the content of your character. It's the color of your skin. And everything we do, and everything we say, and everything is based on how much melatonin you have and what your facial features look like. It's not about who you are. It's not about the kind of person you've become. It's not about who you love and who you care for and who cares for you. Nope. It's all about the color of your skin. That's all it is. And then when they come out with that statement, which basically says, yup, it's all about the color of your skin and we're going to keep doing it. And you're going to continue to be ridiculed. You're going to continue to fall farther and farther from relevance. And you're going to continue to be hated. Because you are going the wrong direction. You are taking us back to segregation. You are taking us back to separate but equal.
Well, to even emphasize that more, the very first thing, within like a couple of minutes of the Veritas story coming out, the first response called me an old white man who's afraid of opinions other than his own.
That's all they have.
How often have we said on this show, now who's racist?
That's all they have is race. Racism, racism, racist. That's all they have.
What does it matter what color I was? It's still, that's absolutely no different. What I presented was their footage, their training.
The facts do not belie anyone's color. But once again, that's all they have. If all you have is to talk about what color I am, get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit. Seriously, that's it? Oh, he's a white guy. Oh, is that it? That's all you have? Get the fuck out.
And that's all we do on this show is talk about opposing opinions.
Right.
We attack them, we bring them down, we talk about them, we analyze them.
Right.
That doesn't sound like somebody who's afraid of somebody else's opinion. That sounds like who's going to engage actively with
all
that.
They have is the race card calling you an old white man, because that's all they've got. And then you're afraid because all they can do is like appeal, I guess, to your ego. Like, he's afraid, you're scared. What's wrong, scaredy pants? It's seriously, it's the kind of shit that 9-year-olds would say to each other on the playground. Actually, 6-year-olds would say. So basically, what it is, you're dealing with cerebrally incapable individuals.
I think we can all agree that journalism should be objective.
I don't want your opinion. I want you to tell me what happened.
Yes. And now this probably passed by a lot of people because it was only up on screen and it was just B-roll basically. But in the Project Veritas video, you see one of the slides of this presentation. And I want to very specifically bring this out. And I'm going to put it up on screen so everybody can see it. But the slide of the training says, inclusive coverage, which is what they're preaching, which they're saying this is what we do now.
Right.
Inclusive coverage is not listing the pros and cons of a position, talking to both sides. Are there always equal arguments from each side? Is it the journalist's responsibility now to judge and decide whose voice, the right, you've just given them permission to go, I don't agree with the right. I don't think their argument is equal, so I'm not going to include it in the story.
Right.
That's exactly what they've done here.
Yeah.
There's no way to misinterpret that.
No.
Am I wrong?
You're not. You're absolutely right, and that's the problem. Is you have exposed their bias. They're basically teaching people to be biased, and then when you record it and then put it on for everyone to see, they're saying you're misinterpreting. It's like, but it's what you wrote.
Well, here's the other part. Also up on screen, inclusive coverage is not opposing interviews. Instead, seek thoughtful interviews, which may fall anywhere in the spectrum of an issue. Okay, so opposing viewpoints no longer matter.
Right. And thoughtful, they're not actually capable of thought. So how would they know what thoughtful is?
Right, and that goes to the very last point, the last bulletin point here. Just, inclusive coverage is not just info, no context and perspective. When info about events is everywhere, it's up to us to help viewers understand.
If you're going to say that you're informing us by indoctrinating us, no, princess, that's not okay. And we don't like it, which is, once again, why news ratings or why news trustworthiness is next to Congress. Because of this. They're saying that that everything's racist, everything's based on your skin, and everything's based on this, and that's how we're pushing the news. And they fall farther and farther off the radar of anyone's perception of concern. And yet they can't understand. We're going to keep doing it. So basically, you've driven your ship into an iceberg, and you're sinking. And you're just going to keep on driving it into more icebergs, as opposed to stopping and maybe turning around and trying to get the ship put together. Nope, not these guys. They're just going to keep on slamming into the ice field because that's what we need to do, because the evil white ice is there. We need to make sure we take it out. That's who you're dealing with. And the fact that they can't understand that actually gives me hope, because it means the people who are that dumb are going to continue being that dumb. And the rest of us who aren't stupid can see them for who they are, which is why the United States, well, in the world really, doesn't trust the news.
Going through this whole process has exposed them even more.
Yeah.
That when I exposed the training that we went through, I wouldn't have. I think they did more damage responding and trying to cover this up.
Yeah.
Than the report itself.
Yeah.
And they had the chance. We said, there's the training.
Yeah.
They didn't address the training. They went after me.
Right.
Didn't address the evidence. There was no denial of not being Marxist, not being racist themselves, and not being divisive. There was no denial of this, and there certainly was no denial of not being objective. They almost, in many ways, admitted.
That's why I say is like, you've told them You're not being objective. You're trying to tell me what to think. And they went, "Yep," and we're gonna keep doing it. But you're training people to not think objectively. You're training people to be biased. And we're gonna keep on doing it. You are teaching people that race is all that matters. You are defeating the entire purpose that Martin Luther King and all of his people and all of the protests and I Have a Dream Today and all that stuff. You're basically trying to erase it. And they go, "Yup, and we're going to keep on erasing it." I mean, who the are these people? Well, I know who they are. They're the dregs of society, as we keep saying. I don't know what to say. Because basically you got people who are shooting themselves in the foot, and when you go, "Stop doing that," they go, "No, blam! Put out a bigger gun and blow the rest of their foot off." And you go, "Stop doing that." Oh, wham! They're going to blow that foot off. And they're lying on the ground bleeding. You know, they're losing money, they're losing sponsors, they're losing trust. But what are they doing? They're just lying on the ground, blowing their feet off farther and farther as they go. And when you say, "You should stop blowing your feet off," they go, "This is what we do. We're here to blow feet off." Boom, boom, boom. That's all they keep doing. And then there are people coming up to you. It's like, "How dare you try to stop them from blowing their feet off? It's because you're an old white man that you don't think people should blow their feet off." Blam, you know.
Their mindset is, "Well, this is right. This is correct. This is the truth. I have to fight for this Marxism. I have to fight for this."
Yeah.
Political action.
I have to do the white man's burden to save the black people, to save the Hispanics, because only the white people can do it.
Yeah. And in order to do that, I have to keep putting my hand on the stove. And you keep putting your hand on the stove, and it keeps burning you, and it burns you, and it burns you, and you're down to a stub. You no longer have a hand because you burned everything away. At what point do you self-analyze, and at what point do you step back and go, maybe the founding principle that I'm basing all of my beliefs on is what's wrong. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to change that a little bit and go back to the days of Murrow where things seem to work out all right for them.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. Okay, we've talked about this. It's like the problem is the left and the progressives build their entire world around this ideal, okay, that the white man has to save everybody, that everything is based on your skin color, that the world can be made to not be inherently unfair, because that's possible, okay? And they're going to be the ones to do it, and they're going to lead you down this crusade, okay? And they build their entire worldview like this, okay? And then when you go, but content of your character, not the color of your skin, and it starts putting a crack in that world. I was like, why can't we all get, we're supposed to be a melting pot. Why don't we get, no, it's all about race. I was like, pretty sure it's not. And the problem is, the more cracks you put in that world, they have to either reevaluate their self-worth. And they build their entire self-worth around that. Mm-hmm. They have to reevaluate their self-worth. They have to change course. But the problem is, it's going to cause their entire worldview to crumble. Okay? So, self-reflection, introspection is not possible because they built this shell. And the only thing they can do is just continue going down this course, no matter how wrong it is, because otherwise it shatters their worldview and gives them a nervous breakdown, and they can't handle, because they've been told their whole lives, "No, you can do anything you want to do, and this is the right way." And they've never bothered to be wrong before. They've never bothered to lose before. They've never bothered to take a step back and re-examine what they're doing.
We do that with the movies. I mean, there's so many people out there that would be, if they put out Barrio Angels or Last Blood or Cartel Killers, and to this day stuck to it that those were great films, that's somebody who's scared of another opinion.
Yeah.
We sit there and we tear it apart. Yeah. I'm able to look at the Benders and analyze what went wrong here.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I was wrong about making a movie about special effects rather than people. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. And what's happening to my films? They're getting better and better and better because of that self-analysis. If I continue to just look at Barrio Angels and Cartel Killers and say, no, those were great films, they were perfect, no need to do anything different, and just continue doing the exact same thing, I'm not going to grow.
The only thing you did was just hold up a mirror to who they are, and they don't like it. And that's why they're mad at you. It's not because you're an old white guy who's afraid. It's because they're afraid, and they realize that they're on a sinking ship, or they don't realize they're on a sinking ship. But all they can do is just drive it through the ice floes and keep smashing it into things. And the only thing you did was show them, show the world what they are really like. And maybe they'll be able to course correct.
But odds are it'll just be another round. You know, I've responded to these here as well as other places. Mm-hmm. We'll see if they respond back. Probably not. They probably, you know, usually after once round they're like, well, we'll just agree to disagree.
Well, now that
spirit basically.
Yeah. Well, now that there's the Kyle Rittenhouse has been found innocent on all counts, now they're going to be bitching about that.
Yeah. I await to see what further attacks will come out, and I will be more than happy to address those the way I have addressed these.